Welcome to a training video of the pay rates screen in PayPak Professional 4.0. This screen is used to set up pay rate records which are required in order to add gross pay lines. Examples of pay rates are regular pay, overtime, double time, triple time, meals, vacation, sick leave, commission, travel allowance, housing benefit, service charge, tips, and bonus. So let's sign in and show you how it works. The pay rate screen is found under the Records section of the main menu. And here's the button. So we click on Pay Rates, and here's the screen. There are a number of options here which control how the pay rates are set up. So let's begin by browsing and having a look at the records in this particular database. There are 18 pay rate records here. We'll go through the list. We've got back pay, bonus, car benefit, discretionary pay, double time, entertainment allowance, hazard pay, house benefit, NAS refunds, other, overtime, regular, salary, service charge, sick pay uncertified, travel allowance, triple time, and vacation. Okay, so let's begin with the very first one. And as you can see here, we have the ID and a description. There's a rate, which in this particular case is 0. Now, this screen for pay rates serves as a template for the pay rates, which will be found in the gross pay section of the employee profile. That's the employee's screen. So, in some cases, there are companies where everyone works for the same amount of pay. Let's just choose the regular record for the regular pay record. Okay, and let's say that for your regular pay, you may have a rate, say, of $10 an hour. Okay, so if you have an organization where everyone works for $10 an hour, most people work for $10 an hour, you could set your rate here. When you set up the employees, it will default to the $10, and you may have one or two people whose rate is different from that. It may be a little less, it may be a little more, and you can override those employees for whom it's not $10 an hour. The other option, at the other end of the spectrum, is companies where for a variety of reasons, people may do the same work, but they get paid different rates. So in that case, you would leave this at 0, and then when you set the employees up, you would then override the rate for each particular person, because you may have cases where, for a variety of reasons, you may have a regular rate of, as we said, $10 an hour, but there could be other reasons too. It could be the length of service. It could be quality of service, favoritism, family ties, all sorts of reasons why people who are paid the same, do the same type of work, may get different amounts. It could be their performance. Maybe someone does a better job than someone else, and you tend to pay them more. And then you have someone who's disagreeable and troublesome, and they may never get an increase in their in pay. You want productive and pleasant people. They will tend to rise or get the benefits. So that's the rate. Another case where you may want the rate to be 0 is, let's go back to the same back pay. Regular pay rates such as salaries, your salary rate, irregular, overtime, double time, etc. Those are preset. Employees have the term contract is often used. It's a contract arrangement that you have with the employees to pay them X amount for doing X, Y, or Z, as the case may be. However, with back pay, this is an example of a pay rate where you may not know in advance what that rate would be. If a person has their regular rate set at $10 an hour, after working for 40 hours, they can expect by the end of the week that they know that whatever hours they've worked in a particular week, they'll get paid $10 an hour for it. Back pay, however, and maybe things like bonuses and other pay and discretionary pay, sometimes there are types of pay which are not preset. There's no preset rate for it. You only know the rate when it actually occurs, when it happens. In that case, you can leave the rate at 0. Okay? And then when you are paying the person at that point in time, that is when you would enter the amount the person is being paid for. Next, we have the prorate checkbox. And the prorate checkbox turns on or off the prorate factor. So these two guys here, these work together. The prorating is a feature in PayPak which allows you to go to an employee's profile or in a batch entry and change the rate for that employee, the regular rate, and it will in turn update the other prorated pay rates, which could be, for example, overtime, double time, and triple time. If you look at the example in the grids here, the regular pay has a prorate factor. It's prorated, has a prorate factor of 1. The overtime has a prorate factor of 1.5. The double time has a prorate factor of 2. And the triple time has a prorate factor of 3. So in a case where a person is working for $10 an hour and their overtime would be $15 an hour, the double time would be $20 an hour, and the triple time would be $30 an hour. If you were to go to that employee's profile in the gross pay section and change the rate to $20, you're doubling it. You change the rate from $10 to $20. As long as the prorating option is turned on, it would automatically change the overtime to $30, the double time to $40, and the triple time to $60. If the person was getting a car benefit, which is not prorated, that $800 here, if they're getting $800 for the car benefit, that car benefit would not change because that is not a prorated pay rate. In this particular case, we also have a discretionary pay which is prorated. So whatever the rate is for the discretionary pay for that employee, it would also double as well. It would increase by the same prorate factor between the discretionary pay and the regular pay. So that's the prorating, and we do have a separate video on prorated pay rates, which I would encourage you to have a look at that. Next, we have these two checkboxes for employee override and edit override. And what they are is where you have a rate preset in here under pay rates. If you turn off the employee override, then you would not be able to edit that rate from the employee's screen. It's locked from the employee's screen. And if you turn it off for the edit override, the same thing applies when you're editing the batch the gross pay entries in the batch, you would not be able to override the rate for the, in this case, the car benefit. So when they're ticked, you can override them. When they're off, they're locked. That would only make sense if the person who is editing the employee profiles or editing the batches does not have access to this pay rates screen, because if they do, they can change it from here in any case. Okay, next we have the limit, and that limit is used for cases where for example, you may have a limit that, for example, for sick days, you may have laws in the country allow you maybe 6 sick days a year. Let's look at the sick day pay rate here, and it sets, the limit is turned on, unlike the other records, unlike the other pay rate records. The limit period type is the current year. You can set when that year ends. Mostly you would probably want it at December for the calendar year. But the limit quantity is 6, which means that an employee can have up to 6 uncertified sick days in a calendar year. There is an action under here which controls what you want the software to do when the person goes above the limit. You can stop the entry or you can warn. So if you stop when you are saving the entry in edit batches or when you are posting the batch, if it is detected that a pay rate has gone over the limit, the stop will halt the processing and the batch will not be posted or the entry will not be saved. If you decide you want to warn, it will inform the user, but it will continue to proceed with the entry. Last at the bottom we have the group, and that's a number for reporting purposes between 1 and 100, and by default it's set to 1. Now I want to go back a bit and look at the limit options. There are a number of options in here. I only chose just now the sick day, which uses current year, but you also have current month, and depending on the option you choose for the period type, there are various options here which will be enabled or disabled. So with current year, you get to choose the month in which the year ends. For the current month, these are not applicable. For the current week, you have to select the day on which the week ends, because for some employers, the working week may end on a Wednesday, may end on a Friday, may end on a Monday. It could be any day of the week. So you would pick the day in which the week ends. For first half of year, you have when the year ends. You pick a month, and that applies to first half of the year, second half, also the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter. Next we have 4 options for past number of days, past number of weeks, past number of months, and past number of years. And that will be a calculation between the date the entry is being made, which is the earning date, and X number of days in this case, and that X number is determined here. So when you choose these 4 options, any of these 4 options, this period length is enabled, and you could say you want over the past 15 days or over the past 90 days. You could say you want it over the past 8 weeks or 20 weeks or whatever number of weeks you want. Same thing for months and years. So it could go back over the past 2 years. So for example, if your company has a policy that employees are not to be paid bonuses or given some sort of incentive more than once a year, then you can come here and you can put the number of years, past number of years as one, or in the past year, because there is a difference between past number of years and current year. Current year would be any time in the year 2021, whereas past year, past number of years set to 1, would be anything from the 13th of August 2020 to the 12th of August 2021. Okay, so the past number looks back from the current date. It goes back, whether it's years, months, weeks, or days, whereas the current options are for the calendar period, or depending on when you choose how you choose the month, it could be a financial year as opposed to a calendar year. Okay, so those are the options for the limit. And we're now going to show you the reports. There are 2 reports which are used to print the pay rates. I'll go to reports and hold on. Let's go to standard reports and we'll click on P, and we have pay rates and pay rates legal size. The pay rates report, that looks like this. This is letter size portrait. It does not, however, include the limit options on this report. So you've got your 18 pay rates here. It does not include the 18 limit options because there'll be too much to fit on this size paper. So if you don't need to see the limit information, you can use this report. Where you do need to see the limits, there's this legal size one. You print, preview, and there it is. ID, description, the rate, prorate factor, employee override, edit override, the group, and then these are all of the limit options over here. Okay. And basically that is it for this demo. At the bottom of the screen there is a video button which would allow you to launch your browser and view this training video online. And as I said before, please do look at the prorated pay rates video, which explains in more detail how to use the prorating factor. So thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure as always, and do look out for the next training video. Take care and goodbye.